Welcome back to the channel, folks, and this is a special one because it's crazy to think that only 11 years separate the Avro Lancaster and what you see before your eyes here, the mighty Vulcan, otherwise known as the Delta Lady. And actually, following its first test flight in 1952, the Vulcan went on to become the first successful large delta wing aircraft, which later led to the design of the Concorde, which sadly I've never seen in real life, but I have seen this monster fly many times thanks to the Vulcan to the Sky Trust, which actually restored a Vulcan, I think it was XH558, to airworthy condition, thanks to the amazing generosity of the British public. And I remember following that thing around the airshow circuit for many years on my motorbike, and we're going to be simulating our own airshow today at RAF Waddington using the famous XM607 in VR. But yeah, let's just get back to some of the things that the Vulcan is very known for, particularly actually during the 50s and 60s. It was known for protecting the UK from nuclear warfare, and the QRA, known as Quick Reaction Alert, is still used today in NATO air defences, especially at RAF Coningsby, where the Typhoons have that job. And we'll simulate actually a rapid start sequence, since Just Flight have modelled that, where all 4 engines can be started simultaneously, which is actually quite a sight to behold, especially hearing it as well, in a space of about 20 seconds, which is incredible. And the Vulcan actually is famous for undertaking the longest bombing run, I think anyway, which still stands today, during the Black Buck mission on the Falklands campaign, which was in 1982, I think, possibly. Might have got that wrong. But, you know, actually, this is my favourite little fact about the Vulcan as we pan around this absolutely beautiful, incredible model here by Just Flight. It was very well known. In fact, I think its first ever appearance at an airshow was at Farnborough, where a test pilot rolled the aircraft, which I think he got in trouble for that. But it's a story that people, well, it's just synonymous with the Vulcan, really, and showcased its agility. And talking of that agility, as you can see, being a bomber, you'd probably expect to have a normal flight yoke, but no, this actually has a pair of flight sticks, much like you'd see in a fighter aircraft, because this thing is that agile, especially at certain speeds, which again we'll showcase later on. But just look at this beautiful work Just Flight have done here. It's quite clear they've gone berserk with this. And all of the reference material, that is, you know, all the textures you see here, every single sound, every click, every drag, has been recorded from a real Vulcan. I mean, listen to the center console here. I mean, comparing this to the X-Plane version, it's a far cry from that add-on. Everything has been completely done over again, and it shows. The materials, from the metal to the leather to the scratches to the instruments, the way they sort of shake as the aircraft comes alive, it is like a real living, breathing Vulcan inside of your computer. It's the best way I can describe it, really. And actually, I'll just quickly show you the EFB, which is very nicely done here. Very bespoke to the Vulcan. And we have all manner of options. And if you do buy this from the Just Flight website, you can even simulate all the bombs in that huge bomb bay. If we move along here, you can have different configurations. We can adjust the TACAN frequencies, and we can even change to make sure you can have a co-pilot, which is very well modeled, I must say. The auto shoot, we're going to have that enabled because that will look really nice when we land. You can change the trim sensitivity. State saving is here as well, which is very useful. And of course, because this is a very high complex add-on, and make no mistake, this is very high fidelity, right up there with the 146 Professional. And I think it's fair to say this is study level. However, it will hold your hand if you so desire, because you can just change it to ready for start and ready for takeoff. We are going to attempt a cold and dark start today, just to show you basically the incredible checklist system. And of course we will be in VR later on, but I think for this first part of the video it makes sense to show you this in 2D. And of course we have the different stations as well. The second pilot, which is here, and actually where's it gone? Oh, I see, it actually changes. That's quite cool. So the tablet changes depending on your view. The AEO screen here, which this isn't a 2D panel you expect it to be because of the sort of fidelity, but no, this is part of the virtual cockpit. So with that being said, we're now going to start up XM607 from its home base here at RAF Waddington, the very famous Vulcan that went over to the Falkland Islands to deliver its payload at Port Stanley in 1982. Pretty amazing. And in fact, this is still the Gate Guardian for RAF Waddington, and it's currently being repainted. And I can't wait to take this up in the Doffrey LTH2 in the Pimax crystal in VR. But for now, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because this is, you know, a very complex aircraft. We're now going to start this up using the checklist system, and I'm doing this because I want to show you the incredible amount of work that's gone into this. So let's go and get started with this. I'll try and be as quick as I can, but this section of the video will be quite complex, and I'll put timestamps if I remember, just in case you want to get straight into the action. So here we go then. Electrical power is off, and I'm just going to show you the click spots here because it's done very, very well, which is great to see. Okay, ejection seat pins are fitted, and you can see here where they are. In fact, yeah, so they're not there, they're actually in the seats at the moment, so that's more modelled. Oxygen, we need that on, which is down here. In fact, what I'll do is I'll make this really tiny. That will help us out a bit, I think. So oxygen is actually over here. Right, we're going to go to the AEO's panel now, and we're going to switch the battery on and make sure we've got 28 volts. That's all good. In fact, to be honest, one thing we do need to do, and that is get our ground power sorted out here, which is also modelled, of course, and you can even hear it on the outside view. So we need to make sure our alternators have 4 amber lights showing, which they do. Just look at the panel detail here, I love it. The RAT field switch is guarded, which is that here. We'll now look at the AAPP panel, and we'll switch the LP cock to the open position. Do a fire test here. Check that's illuminated. And oxygen switch off. Actually, it was already off, that's fine. And the master switch is also in the off position. That's all good. The auxiliary AVS and face blower is in the off position. We'll tick that off here. These are all lit, which is all good. Main warning lights are both on. Yes, they are. And there's actually a number of different lights here that should be either white, and the alternator should be flashing red, which is also correct. The bomb release safety lock is in the green position, which it is there. That's all good. TFR supply switch is in the off position. You know, we didn't have this checklist system in the X-Plane version. I mean, it's just a massive upgrade, guys. Incredible. Just checking as well, the attitude failure flags are there. That's all good. The air brake switch, actually I did that before we started, and that's in the correct position. What you do is you check the air brake, and see here, it tells you it's great. Switch at the bottom of the throttle quadrant corresponds to the correct air brake position, which it does. De-icing, we're not going to worry about that today. That's all good. And oh, hang on, our pilot's just appeared. Let me just reset my view so you can have a look at this pilot and the detailing here. Look at this. That's a really nice touch, although he kind of is in the way at the moment, so I am going to remove him. But at least you've had a chance to look at him there. Very cool. With him now gone, we can now look at the AVS master switch. And by the way, if I just zoom in fact I can't go, there we go. Look at that. it's still really sharp. And bear in mind, there is an 8K texture set, which I think is a bit overkill, but it's amazing how they have that as an option. So look at this, it's right down here. We do switch that on later on, but for the time being, that needs to be in the off position. We're now going to start the AAPP. So master switch goes on, and we're going to slide this switch here and then turn this on. And I'll just shut it for a moment so you can hear that in action. You know, I often think, because unfortunately now the Vulcan, well, you're not going to see one flying anytime soon, that's for sure. It's such a sad situation that, in my opinion, I think the Vulcan should be part of the Battle of Britain Memorial flight, really. Especially as XH558 is still in great condition. So it's great that we can kind of keep the aircraft alive in this sim, especially with the high fidelity of this Just Flight model. So the AAPP button should be now pressed. I think that's here for no more than 1 second. Yep, that's all good there. Okay, so we can now switch on the transformers. Gosh, so incredibly complicated, this thing. It really is. It's quite mind-blowing and very overwhelming. But, you know, thank goodness for the Asobo checklist. And thank you so much to Just Flight for enabling this checklist to be so interactive. And it all works, by the way, in VR as well. Compasses are all synchronized. Altimeter is now been reset with the trusty B key. Port beam compass is... Well, let's have a look at this, actually. Where is that? Let's just get rid of this tablet again. Yeah, actually that is corresponding correctly as well. That's all good. Standby artificial horizon is in the erect and button out position. That's good. The TFR lights are actually all around the cockpit. You can check them to make sure that they are illuminated, and they do work. And there's tons of them around here. They all work very, very nicely. LP fuel cock is in the open and guarded position. Right, this is these things down here. So you need to get right down and open these. We're getting there, folks. Hopefully you're still with me here, but I just really wanted to show you the level of sophistication and high fidelity that Just Flight have gone to. The in-house team really have knocked it out of the park this year, and I think what a great way to see the year off with a bang, quite literally, with an aircraft add-on like this. Pretty incredible. So we'll keep moving on here as quick as we can. Alternator failure warning light is flashing red. Canopy unlock is black, and they are 2 white, so that's all good as well, so we can check them off. Accelerometer, that's down here, that needs to be reset. We're going to be pushing some G's today, I can assure you. Undercarriage is checked, it's still there. No, seriously, it's all in the green, we're all good there. I'm not quite sure if there is failures to this aircraft or not. Maybe I'll ask Just Flight on that one. But for the autopilot, we need to make sure it's powered on and all 3 channels are in. The MFS TFR switch is still in MFS mode. That's been checked before, that's fine. Windscreen demister, that is this guy here, that is set to off. Throttle detent isolation switch, I believe that's down here, that's in the in position. Down here we've got the pressure selector switch. We're going to switch that to the cruise position and guard that. We're getting close, guys. I promise you, we're getting very close to engine start. Right, cabin air switches are all shut. I think engine air needs to be on. That's, yeah, shut. Ram air valve, that's that guy here. That's shut. Temperature selector is cold, which is here. Cold air turbine is showing black, which is correct. External lights as required. Put some light on here. That's on. Tank pressurization, they should all show 4 white, which they are. Air-to-air refueling, that is something that's modelled. In fact, everything's modelled on this bird, as you'd imagine. But for now, for this air show today, we don't need that. As well as anti-icing, that's fine as well. Right, so this is what we need to do. We need to stow the armrest. That's very important. We're going to click on the engine starter, ignition, make sure it's in rapid start mode, and now it's time for the magic, folks. Here we go. look at that heat haze there. True spatial sounds as well. And just to hear again that metallic whine that is so unique to the Vulcan. But let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think to that engine sound? It's going to get even more impressive once she's at full mil, I can tell you that. Right then, after start checklist, we're going to switch on the alternators. Look how the needles are just like shaking. That's a fantastic little addition there. And again, really gives you a sense of the aircraft being alive. Oh, of course, I forgot that. The engine master switch needs to be switched off, and the ignition. Fuel console as required. Actually, yeah. I probably should have done that beforehand, but I guess we got away with it. But we need to make sure all of these fuel pumps are on. And there's a lot of them. As you can see here. Look at that center console. How worn is that? It looks fantastic. Just superb, folks. What a time. So, engine air switches all shut. We'll do that now. Cabin air switches are now in the shut position. Don't need to worry about anti-icing. Air brake, we will test that before we... in fact, yeah, we'll do that when we taxi. Hydraulic pressure. That is down here. Very tiny little display here, but that's all in the green. By the way, in the Pimax crystal, it looks super sharp, I must say. Ah, Bombay. Let's just... we'll now close the Bombay, and I'll see if I can do it really fast so that you can see it shut. You just see that there on the camera. Right, let's see if I can do this really fast. There you go, just saw it there. In fact, that's actually real. It does shut that quick. It's incredible. When you see it at the air display, when it used to open its Bombay, which we'll be doing as part of our display today, it does open so fast. So, PFC needs to make sure that all lights are on, then the lights are out. So that's all good there. You notice as the hydraulic power is feeding to all the systems, those lights, I like that, how they don't just go off straight away like they used to in the X-Plane version. It takes them a while. Brilliant stuff. And by the way, here's another really cool feature of this add-on, is the feel lock, which I think provides resistance to the controls. Because this thing, as I say, is rather sensitive at certain airspeeds. And I'd imagine that's just to give you a bit more feel with the flight controls. That is modelled as well. So I think we're about there, folks, to be honest. So let's just close the hatch. We don't need GPU power now. Remove the chocks. Listen to the sound change. Oh, wow. And at this point, I think it's time to go into VR, the very exciting bit, because we are going to recreate many of the airshow maneuvers of the 2015, the very last year, I believe, of XH558 over RAF Waddington. I'll see you in VR in a moment. So this is just a quick voiceover whilst we're in VR to let you know that this add-on, being such high fidelity, is not going to be £50. It's actually going to release next week for £28. And it's all because they want to give something back to the community. They are aware of people's struggles at the moment. So join me in the comments to say a massive thank you to Just Flight. I think it's now time to hold on the brakes and fire up these engines to 80%. Now, it's quite unique, the characteristics of the Vulcan, particularly in takeoff, where you need to make sure that you hold the nose down, because it is very liable to sort of pitch up too soon. I think that's probably due to that massive delta wing. She just wants to fly. Anyway, enough talking from me. Let's hear those amazing sounds of the mighty Vulcan once again at RAF Waddington. We are rolling. Airspeed is alive. Oh wow, it certainly is alive. 100 knots already. And rotate. That happened very fast. Gear coming up. And ATC want to talk to me, but I'm sorry, I'm going to do my first wing over. Here we go. Oh, wow. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, look at her. She's absolutely beautiful. So we'll now head back on the display line. And as I say, the purpose of today's flight is to try and simulate many of the real-world Vulcan airshow manoeuvres. I've wondered for many years, actually as soon as MSFS was first released, I wondered whether Just Flight would ever bring this bird to this sim, simply because this is the best sim, GA flight sim out there, period. And to have an aircraft of this fidelity and to be able to recreate all of those flights of the real Vulcan is an absolute privilege. So there is our display line, and look at this, here we go, even the smoke and everything. Let's do a wing over from the outside, Kev Rubin style. Oh, that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And I remember when I did my X-Plane 11 review of this aircraft, no other than Bill Ramsey commented on my video. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the airshow pilots for the Vulcan. That was a massive privilege. So if you are watching this, please do comment below. We'll close that now. And we'll go into another wing over. Oh my word, that is quite emotionally stirring. Put it that way. Whew. Over the British countryside looking this good. For our next manoeuvre, we are going to do the spiral climb. And for that, as you can see, the air brakes coming out. This was a fantastic manoeuvre of the airshow circuits. But they had to make sure they had the air brakes out, otherwise they'd be at 20,000 feet before you know it. Look at the smoke there. Look at that beautiful Delta Lady in VR. Oh my word. Now at 3,000 feet. See if we can top out at about 5,000 feet, I think it is. Still going. Actually, we did that pretty well. Didn't gain too much altitude there. Oh, wow. Power back to idle. Speed brake in. Just look at that. It really is the best way I can describe this add-on. It's a living, breathing Vulcan inside your computer for £28. Just Flight have done it again, they really have. So for our last manoeuvre, we'll go down the display line once again. Look at all the local residents, they've come out their houses, the traffic has stopped, everybody is watching this display. Oh, wow. This aircraft for me is very special. And to see it like this in the sim is, it's making me a little bit teary-eyed. I'm not frightened to say that. You know, the Vulcan, there's just something about it. There's something more than just the sum of its parts. It really captivated the British public, me included, and to see it here with this high fidelity in the sim, it's got to me today, folks. I gotta say, it has got to me. Well done to the team. Well done to the team. They've done an amazing job with this. So on approach, we need to be around 160 knots or so. Oh, she just feels so fluid in the air. Let's see if we can make a half decent landing at REF Waddington back in XM 607. Slowing down now to 150 knots. I'm a little bit fast actually. Here we go. Keep the nose up. There we go. Didn't see the chute deploy, but that might be user error. So this has been the Just Flight Vulcan, a preview. I look forward to the full release version with the Olympus 201 engines. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.